Welcome to Webinar Wednesday here at Lulu. We are so happy to have you here. I appreciate you choosing to spend a little bit of time with us today. Who gets the gold star? Mira. Mira, hello. Thanks for saying hey. Hey, Charles, Kathy, Vicky, Brian, Kimberly. Thanks, everybody, for saying, oh, Mira, oh, you're Rev. Hi, what's up, Rev? So, hey, everybody, thanks for being here. I'm excited for this one. I think it will be very fun and enlightening, but I'll leave that up to Claire and Victoria to fulfill that promise that I'm making up top. So, hey, everybody, I see you found the chat. Let us know where you're from. I saw someone say that it was in Idaho where it's raining, so I'm sorry about that. It was raining this morning where I am as well, but it looks like the sun is trying to come out. So we're excited about that. So tell us a little bit about where you're from. Tell us if you are using Lulu Direct or if you are using direct sales. Have you dipped your toe in those waters yet? Let us know in the chat. I will turn it over and we will get started, but just a few housekeeping things before. If you found the chat, that's very good. In the other tab of the chat, there's a Q&A. So if you have questions as we go through our presentation, then please put those in the Q&A tab. We will have time for questions at the end. So drop the questions there and keep the conversation going. So thanks everybody for being here. All right. We are here to talk about direct sales solutions for your author business. I know everyone's excited, but before we dive into it, I got to share about this event that we have coming up very soon in May, which feels like tomorrow. I don't even know how it's April yet, but the calendar says that it is. But we are co-hosting CEX with The Tilt. This is a Content Entrepreneur Expo. It is in Cleveland, Ohio at the beginning of May. And a little bit about this event is that Content Entrepreneur Expo is where over 500 content creators will be gathering in Cleveland to build more loyal audiences, generate substantially more revenue, become smarter at content creations, generate more subscribers for email, and learn to leverage AI and social media to build your audience. If you are truly serious about the business of content and growing your content first business, this is the event for you. This is the best networking, food and drinks, and content for creators out there. It always makes me laugh that food and drinks is like one of the call outs of how great this event is. But hey, if they're saying it, it must be true. So go to cex.events if this is of interest to you. Another shout out, BJ Novak of The Office fame, and he's done other things as well. I know it's a disservice to him to just say that he was part of The Office, but who doesn't love The Office? So BJ Novak will be our keynote speaker. Ann Hadley will be interviewing him. So another all-star speaker there. And also the list goes on. So definitely check that out if you are interested. If you're signed up for our emails, you will get promo codes as well. I think Webinar 100 will get you $100 off. Keep an eye out for the email. But before you rush off to buy your tickets, which I know you're all about to do right now, wait, give us about 50 minutes because we're going to talk to you about direct sales solutions for your author business. As you can see, I am joined here by Claire Daniel. Hey, Claire. And Victoria Tracy. Hello, Victoria.
Hi.
Thank you both for being here. And they're going to talk to us about the solutions that direct sales can offer for your author business. So I am going to turn it over to them.
All right, I'm gonna get my screen share on.
Let's do it.
Yep. Everybody can see that, I'm assuming.
Yes.
The perpetual question. All right, well, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks, Chelsea, for having us. We're really, really excited to be here. We're not gonna sugarcoat it today. Self-publishing and running an author business can be kind of challenging. There's a lot to learn, a lot to navigate. And the team at Lulu has a lot of resources to support you through the entire process, because at the end of the day, your success is our success. We say it all the time, but we do genuinely want you to publish and prosper. It's part of the reason that we have different platforms to allow you to do exactly what you want with your book, from just getting one copy to share with your family to creating a whole business around it. We're here to help. So we talk to authors every day and about the challenges they face when they're self-publishing. And the best part of Victoria and my job is we get to talk to them about how we can help resolve some of the biggest issues that they have in creating an author business. So we get to tell them how they'll have to worry less about cash flow and logistics, and ultimately how they can grow their business and their brand just by selling directly to their customers. We're not saying it's like a totally like a magic wand, but it's pretty darn close if you ask us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for choosing to spend time with us today. Chelsea, thank you for having us here. I'm also excited to talk a little bit about direct sales solutions and how they can help tackle some common sales challenges for those who want to take their book and their brand to the next level. So kind of just jumping right in, you've created a book, and from the chat, it looks like several of y'all are already at that step, which is great. Having a product is going to be that first step to creating your e-commerce business. Whether you're new to self-publishing or you're already a creator with an established audience, getting started with the e-commerce platform can play a large role in maximizing your revenue. You'll want to have a platform your audience can visit to learn more about you and your work, as well as purchase your products. And limiting the amount of click-throughs, particularly to affiliate links and outside sources, can really help create a smooth customer journey. Claire's going to touch on that a little bit more later, though. So for now, let's just focus on getting started with the right platform. We're going to start back to the basics, simple definition of e-commerce, which is selling and buying things on the internet. And let's face it, I love going to the bookstore, one of my favorite things, and I'm sure most of y'all really enjoy it as well. But when you hear about a new title or an author, what's actually the first place you look? I think it's probably fair to assume that you're hearing about a new book on Instagram or X or TikTok, whatever social media. And then maybe you look up the author's profile, you go and click follow. Maybe you go straight to Google to figure out when the release date actually is, or maybe you go and add that title on Goodreads. There's so many places you can do all of this, but from any of those places, you'll most likely be redirected to a button that's going to take you to a site to either pre-order or buy the book. And no matter the order of the steps you took, you found all of this information through a few taps and you never actually stepped foot in a store. So stay with me here, but let's picture that same scenario. And instead of a random book you stumbled across while you're scrolling, it's the amazing one that you spent time writing. Don't you want your customers to engage with your content and to go directly to your site that shows off the wonderful book you've created and then purchase that book directly from you? And most likely, of course you do. So selling a book on any platform, it's a nice win. But if you want to turn your writing into a business, then having a place for your audience to visit is going to play a large role in making that business a reality. So Lulu Direct helps with this, make this scenario possible. And we do that by working with your e-commerce platform to fulfill and ship orders directly to your customers. And since you've chosen to spend some time with us today to talk about direct sales solutions, that means that you might be looking to take that next step in building your business. So let's kind of dive into the options that we provide. We have 3 pre-built integrations, and those are going to make setting up your e-commerce business like an absolute breeze. And if you already have a website, there's a big chance that one of these will work for you. We integrate directly with Shopify, WooCommerce, and Wix. And you can use any of those platforms to connect your Lulu projects, make a new Lulu project, and just get started selling. They're going to easily connect to your store, which means connect your site to your store, which means when a customer virtually stops to check out your brand, they'll be able to make purchases directly from you rather than having to go to another website. We also have an advanced solution for those who may need a little bit more freedom when it comes to developing and connecting print on demand to your site. That's our Print API solution. It was created by developers for developers. So if you have the skills or if you have a team ready to handle the coding, that option is going to be a great fit for you. And then remember how in that very first scenario, I briefly mentioned pre-ordering? Well, you don't have to worry. Even though we are print on demand, using Lulu Direct also means you can take pre-orders because we have an order import tool. The goal here is we want to be able to help you cover your bases by providing solutions to the variety of scenarios that you're going to encounter. So if your first book is a hit and you're like, let's get started on the second one, I'm ready to go, our order import tool is going to do the groundwork to make sure your current audience can go ahead and pre-order from your site. Most importantly, our goal is to make sure you have all these tools needed to create an e-commerce site that's successful for your books from the very start. Direct sales solutions are all about maximizing the revenue and your earnings, utilizing the best channels to leverage sales, and expanding your overall brand.
I think you may be muted, Claire. I'm sorry. I was like,
Sorry,
wow, you're really
yeah.
into it. In fact, I thought you were chewing
Really,
something
I'm
at first.
We have a dog, so we are trying to not interrupt Victoria with barking. So maybe a small piece of the self-publishing, direct sales, author business puzzle, but knowing what you want to sell and what you can sell are kind of an important piece of that. We were at London Book Fair last month, and the number of authors we spoke to who were just so excited that they could self-publish hardcover books with us really blew me away. If you've taken the time and effort to create something, you should be able to have it produced exactly how you'd like. And we're really happy to be able to support you in that by offering over 3,000 product combinations. That also means that you can hit different price points for different customer demographics and build out your product offering to grow your revenue. We'll touch on this a couple more times today, but if you have content, you should make the most of it. If you wrote a fantasy novel and sold it in paperback, you could also create a high-end coffee table companion piece or an adult coloring book to go with it. It's just one other little thing to consider and one thing that sets Lulu apart when you're selecting a platform.
Okay, so you've maybe put some thought into the products you want to sell, and once you've chosen the best e-commerce platform for your needs, getting started with Lulu Direct it's pretty easy. And if you're still not sure what platform fits yet, that's totally fine. You can always check out our YouTube series, which Chelsea is featured in, and that's going to help break down the platforms that we integrate with, so you can figure out which one best fits what you're looking for. But now let's say we're ready to start selling directly. You might be thinking, why? What's in it for me? With Lulu Direct, there are no upfront costs when you're getting started. You only pay us when an order is placed, which makes starting your e-commerce business so much easier. Really, the only investment you're going to be putting in upfront is the time needed to integrate your Lulu Direct solution, which, spoiler alert, it's going to be pretty minimal. It's almost a no-brainer. You'll also get paid immediately when a book is purchased. There's no more waiting for author payouts or dealing with revenue splits. Lulu Direct works in it's 2 transactions. So first, your customer is going to pay you directly through your e-commerce platform, and then you pay Lulu for the cost of fulfillment before we print and ship the product. That means you have full autonomy when it comes to pricing with Lulu Direct, allowing you to maintain control over your own business, which I think is pretty great. And after all, I mean, you're the one who's put in all of this work. Doesn't it make sense that you're also the one kind of calling those shots? And did I mention, I know I already touched on it, but it is really exciting. So let's reiterate it. There are no revenue splits when we're working with our direct sales solution. You get to keep 100% of your profit. As the author, you'll set your list price. So then you can plan exactly how much revenue you'll make after the fulfillment costs. With Lulu Direct, you're responsible for those fulfillment costs, which include print costs, shipping and handling, taxes, and then a small fulfillment fee that's on every order. And if you're not really sure where to begin with pricing your work, we also make that easy. We have a handy calculator on our website. It's going to break down those costs so you can see it all in one place. We know cash flow can sometimes be a barrier when trying to get an e-commerce store up and going. But using Lulu Direct helps mitigate this issue by ensuring that you're not paying anything upfront to use our integrations and making sure you get paid when an order is placed rather than making you jump through all the hoops to get your creator earnings. You've probably already invested a lot into your book, and we want to make sure you're not hitting any barriers when it comes to maximizing the revenue you can make. And then on top of all of those reasons to start selling directly, you also don't have to worry about storing inventory. We know that, not many people can fit 1,000 books on hand, and I definitely couldn't fit that in my apartment. And you definitely don't want to deal with the hassle of going to the post office every time someone places an order, because ideally, lots of orders are being placed. And you just want inventory to be like the very last thing on your mind. So with our direct sales solution, we can handle the back-end fulfillment all the way from printing to shipping. And then you get to focus on other things like writing your next book.
Hey, I'm just going to hop in really quick. Yes, agree with everything you're saying. Snaps to Victoria. But I also want to say with cash flow, when I first started hearing that term, I didn't really completely understand how it applied in terms of self-publishing and getting your books. But as many of you know, when you're selling books through a third party, you're getting paid maybe 30 days, 60 days, 90 days after the sales. So when we talk about direct sales and how it improves the cash flow to your business, we mean that payout that you're getting is you get that money and you can get paid out within 24 to 48 hours for most providers. So again, as Victoria was saying, that just makes you so much more agile and being able to respond to the needs of your business, write that second, third, fourth book, run some ads, and kind of market smarter when you are able to count on that money that's coming in and access it quicker. So thanks. Back over to you.
Thank you. So while we're talking about logistics, there's one more thing we want to take off your plate, because as an author or a creator, your audience is kind of your success metric, right? So you want as many people as possible to be engaged with you and ultimately purchasing whatever you're putting out there. But if you can't fulfill to a global audience, you're kind of hamstrung. The great news is that another one of the things that sets Lulu Direct apart is that we enable you to get your books to your audience no matter where they are. Lulu has print partners across the globe in the US, Canada, France, Australia, India, and the UK. So for you, that means not only being able to sell to anyone, anywhere, but it can also help mitigate those astronomical shipping fees and long fulfillment times that can be a turnoff for some of your customers. You can think about it. You can meet your audience wherever they are with no added cost or concern on your end. So if Lucy in London wants to buy your book, that's great. She can order it right off your website. If Austin in Australia wants a copy of that calendar that you made, that's fabulous. Let us handle it. As we talk about building your brand, it's invaluable to have that global reach. So now that you have all your logistics covered and you have all this free time, let's talk about some other ways that you can optimize your author business. And to me, that starts with making the most of your customer data. Data is so valuable. Like, that's it. That's the tweet, right? We've all seen it. The figure I've seen is that in email marketing, an email address is worth about $35 in sales. And the cost to send an email is, in theory, $0. So that's a really spectacular return on investment. And that's money you're missing out on if you're not selling direct. At Lulu, we talk about the difference between a book or books being a nice hobby or side hustle versus them being an entire business. And at the heart of that issue is owning your customer data and using it to your advantage. So what exactly do we mean when we talk about customer data? What most of us think of when we think about customer data is personal data, their name, email address, geographic location, and age, for instance. This is, the who, what, and where of your customer base. It's a great starting point, but there's a lot more to the story. And just a reminder, this is all information you probably don't have access to if you're not selling direct. So if you own your platform and you are selling direct, you can also get engagement data. It's information on how your customers are interacting with you across your platforms, website, social media, email, or paid ads. This gives us an idea of how often your audience is hitting your website, opening your emails, or interacting with your socials, and can tell us a lot about what they like and dislike. Next, we have behavioral data, things like average order size, customer lifetime value, and things like website engagement. So heat maps to track where they're interacting with your platform and how easy it is for them to get where they need to go. Behavioral data can reveal a lot about your customer's purchase journey, which can in turn, you can use to create a better journey for them. And then finally, attitudinal data. No surprise here, that's data on the attitude of your customers, how they feel about you and your offerings. And traditionally, this is, customer satisfaction and basic preferences. So we want to be really, really clear. This data doesn't just come pouring in because you've decided to sell direct. The basics like contact information and transactional information are fairly simple, but things like customer feedback and website analytics might be a little bit more complicated. It's totally fine. What we want you to be thinking about is owning what you can and deciding what you want to do with that information. To take it or leave it, focus on it or not, but it's something you get to decide. When you're selling direct, you're in control. So if you've joined us today and you're an author and you're like, Claire, what are you talking about? I'm not in marketing, I'm not in analytics, you are stressing me out. I get it. It's a lot. So let's dial it back a little bit and talk a little bit about customer data at a more basic level. And that's how it impacts your customer journey. It's something you're probably dealing with right now, whether you're thinking about it or not. We break this down into 3 core parts: customer acquisition, customer experience and purchase, and customer retention. So starting with acquisition, this is the process of finding customers and getting them to buy from you. There are 2 sides to this, but it's pretty simple. It's just really dang expensive to acquire new customers. It's really important, but you can help mitigate some of those costs by making the most of your existing customer base and leveraging the data you have to nurture those relationships. The other side of that same coin is that once you have data and metrics on that customer base, it becomes way easier to find more people like that. It narrows your search so you can better target that audience. And from this, you can create repeatable processes. You know where your customers are coming from and how to get more of them, and you can do that over and over and over. I think it's fair to say that acquisition in self-publishing can be another little tricky piece of that puzzle, because you have to be mindful of what you're spending to acquire customers compared to their potential lifetime value. If it costs you $3 to bring in a customer, but they're only going to purchase one paperback that nets you like $2, that math doesn't totally add up, but you still need the customers. So consider some of the organic and low-cost customer acquisition channels, things like your website, email marketing, events, your social media presence, and any like word of mouth or referrals that you can drum up. These strategies can absolutely be a little more time and labor intensive, but they can really move the needle for your author business. So it's great. We have our customer base. We know who we're looking to acquire. The next step is to dial in on your customer experience and purchase to optimize it for your market. So who is your customer? Who is your reader? If they're in a less tech savvy demographic, then maybe we really need to think about how easy your website is to navigate. Are they cost conscious? How can you price products in a way that makes sense for them? You can even consider how these customers are finding you and how they prefer to shop. So if they're coming from your Instagram, let's make sure that link goes to the thing they're most interested in. Or maybe they're finding you on Google. Let's make sure your landing page is clean and organized and push them towards purchase. Owning your customer data means owning the entire customer journey and being able to make these little tweaks to elevate your business and ultimately drive more revenue. And then lastly, we have customer retention. We have a few things at play here, but like I said earlier, it's so expensive to acquire new customers. So we have to make sure we're doing everything we can with what we have. So if you're not selling direct, your marketing might be limited to people who signed up for your mailing list or people who follow you on socials. And that's great, but that's probably not capturing anyone. You consider you've spent a whole year writing your second book. It's a huge accomplishment. And you're thinking through your marketing plan. Who do you want to target? Who would be interested in buying your second book? It's probably the people who bought your first book. Who are those people? Right? If you're selling anywhere other than your website, you have no way to know and no way to talk to them. This applies to any product you might release. So if I loved your book, maybe I'd be really thrilled to learn that you came out with cute hacks that feature your cover art or a mug with a catchphrase from one of your books. There aren't a lot of case studies on customer retention for self-published author businesses, which is shocking. But a Harvard Business Review article showed that increasing customer retention by about 5% can increase profits between 25 and 95%. So it's definitely worth paying attention to. Once you put all this together, use your customer data to get everything just right, you are on a great path towards turning your book and turning it into a business. So part of building a successful business is getting people to buy. And that's really all we're talking about when we talk about conversions. It's just the difference between people who might buy what you have to offer versus people that actually buy what you have to offer. And the more of the customer journey that you're able to own, the more likely you are to have a higher conversion rate. So let's look at this in 3 scenarios, going from where you have the least amount of control to where you have the most control. First, and it's a totally common scenario, if you're putting your book up on Amazon and just kind of not doing much else, it's a totally valid way to get your book out there, right? But if your end goal is to drive sales and build a complete business, this is probably not going to get you that far for so many reasons, but largely because Amazon isn't necessarily invested in your conversions. If I'm on Amazon, they don't care if I buy your book or a pack of diapers for my kid. They care that I'm buying anything, not your product specifically. On top of that, you don't know how many people are considering your product and buying it compared to the people that consider your product and decide to buy something else. So not only do you not have control over your conversion rate, you probably don't even know what it is. The second super common scenario, it's a step in the right direction, is if you have your own website and you're linking your audience to somewhere else, Amazon or maybe Barnes & Noble, to buy your book. You've added a layer of control here, right? So you have your audience on your platform. You can A/B test different strategies to push more people to that purchase page. But after that, you're in the dark. So you've done all this hard work to build a website that people are going to. You've optimized it to get people to that one important page, and then you kind of put it in someone else's hands. And a little sidebar here, I don't want to take us too far off of this direct selling track, but we do want to be really, really clear. We're not saying don't sell on Amazon or don't pursue global distribution. Those, we get it. Like those are important strategies for your sales channels, but there's just a little bit more, there's another path that can help you drive more success long term. So finally, our dream scenario, if you have your own website and you are selling direct, you are now completely in control of your conversion rate and you can do what it takes to improve it. So similar to customer data, you can take or leave different parts of this, but knowing how your customers interact with your website and making it function best for them is really a great key here. Consider where you place your call to action buttons, how clear your navigation is, and overall just how easy it is to buy from you. While you're thinking about this, don't forget that over 40% of online transactions happen on a mobile device. So make sure that you're giving that market a great experience so that you're not missing out on any sales. And now that you have all of that traffic there and purchasing, you can build on that success, create repeat customers, sell additional products, and ultimately keep building out your brand. And I think Victoria is going to talk a little bit about that next.
Yeah. Okay, great. So you've written a book and you've created a website and you've started cultivating this loyal audience. And if you've been paying attention to Claire, you'll know just how important it is to create a good customer journey for your audience and how valuable that customer data is going to be. So if you've gone to the effort of creating all of these awesome things to build out your brand, then you definitely want the credit and the benefits that are going to come along with it as well, right? So direct sales solutions allow for brand continuity, which is great because you've put in all of this hard work. So you want your customers to recognize your brand when they see it. Your audience goes to your website, which is obviously an extension of your brand, and maybe they find you through social media. That's another piece of your brand. And when they receive the product they've ordered from you, you'll want them to think about your brand still, not another company's. So how do you handle that? Lulu Direct uses white label fulfillment, meaning you're able to upload your own branding to the packing slip, plus a small message, maybe a cute thank you or a small discount code for their next purchase. That way, your customers are seeing your branding when they're getting your book. This helps create a seamless brand experience from your website to the moment they actually receive the product. So this idea of brand continuity, it centers on keeping your audience engaged with your brand, whether that's your social media, your website, or even your physical book. All of these aspects, they're puzzle pieces to your brand's unique voice. Limiting distractions and removing other vendors from your sites is a great way to keep the focus on what you've created. Think about it. Like, how often are you scrolling through social media and you're looking for one specific thing and then bam, like 10 minutes later, you've gone down this completely different rabbit hole. You forgot about the original part of your search. You just scrolling. So now let's consider this with selling on your site versus other platforms in mind. Like Claire said before, if your book is on Amazon, the goal of Amazon is not to sell your book, but it's rather like the goal is to make any kind of sale. They don't have any skin in the game when it comes to your book specifically. And there are so many things out there that can distract your customers. And we can break this down into a few scenarios to just see how they play out and where your brand fits in. So for the first one, let's say you don't have an e-commerce platform, but your social media link tree links to Amazon for your book. Or maybe you have your audience just go and search for it. If they're doing it through the search bar, immediate distractions are going to start popping up as the search function provides auto-fulfill suggestions. So if your book is titled Successful Marketing Strategies, your customers may end up on a product page for succulents without ever seeing your book or interacting with your brand, even though that was their original intention. And then let's say I go directly from your link to the book page. What do you think pops up when I get to that product page? It's your book, which is great, but also similar suggestions. So now maybe I'm seeing the newest Emily Henry book alongside yours, and I decide, hey, that one sounds pretty cool. Let me get that instead. So there's like this built-in competition there, and it takes the focus away from your book, which creates a potential to lose the sale. And then at the end of the day, if they haven't bought the book, they haven't learned anything about your brand. So then lastly, maybe your customers make it all the way to the purchase page and actually buy the product, that's amazing. And that's what we want to see. But when they get it, they see Amazon's packaging, not yours. So again, it's another distraction that takes away from the brand you've created. Your customer won't be thinking, wow, I can't wait to buy from this author again, but they might immediately start thinking about the other products that they need to order from Amazon. This all ties into that customer journey and experience. It's something you want to make sure is memorable because that helps cultivate your loyal audience and it encourages repeat engagement. Remember how I said there's even a space on your branded packing slip to just add a small note with Lulu Direct? This is a really great way to just thank your customers, and it can remind them there's a real human being behind the pages of the book they're about to read. Alongside brand continuity, the goal of direct sales at its core is to maximize your revenue. And what better way to do that than to tap into those add-on sales? Add-on sales when selling with a third-party vendor might mean a different author's book or household cleaning supplies. But when they're on your site directly, customers can add on merch or maybe even another book of yours. So let's just think about broadly about loyal fan bases and how much time they spend on their favorite websites and social media. So for example, I'm thinking specifically about Taylor Swift. She definitely makes a ton of money off of her music alone, and we all know that. But it's also clear that her merch sales they're really great as well. So many of her fans are going to her site to buy CDs and interact with her music. But then while they're there, maybe they see a cute sweatshirt or a poster and they add it to their cart. So if you're thinking of that in terms of your book, those sales can really start to stack up here, which is nice because at the end of the day, that's putting more money in your pocket. Add-on sales can also help keep your audience invested in the community you've created. Are you writing a series of books? Well, you definitely want your customers to keep reading past the first one. So having all of those products available on one site informs your customer that there are multiple books, and that's going to make it easy for them to add them all in one purchase. Or maybe there's a few sayings your readers really love from your work. What about merch for them? Or maybe your book is something that benefits from having a workbook or a journal alongside it, like a companion piece. You don't have to have 800-page books written to start thinking about add-on sales. It can genuinely be anything that complements your products and fits into your overall brand. And then direct sales are great for creating brand continuity and keeping your community of readers focused on what you've created instead of filling their brains with other companies' distractions. Let's think about it this way. Anytime your potential customers interact with your website, they're interacting with the brand you've created, not just your products. So try to keep the customer experience in mind when you're building out your brand and strive to keep that experience as seamless as possible.
A lot of the things that Victoria and I talked about really combine into the idea that selling direct puts you in the best position to acquire and retain customers. But there's one thing we've kind of skirted around, and that's keeping them engaged outside of your platform. There are a lot of different ways to do this, but one that we're really fond of, and we have some really great blog posts about, is email marketing. One of the reasons we talk about it so much is because it only requires that most basic form of customer data, a name and an email address. And then, like I mentioned before, it's incredibly low cost. So if all the other stuff feels overwhelming, this one should feel a little bit more manageable. Email marketing has the highest ROI of any marketing channels. It's higher than even more complicated things like search engine optimization and pay-per-click advertising. So it's an easy way to stay connected with your audience and keep them engaged and interested, which keeps them coming back to purchase. The world of email marketing is big, but the great thing about it is that it can be just a lot of trial and error. There are, of course, best practices and guidelines, but you get to decide what works for you and your audience. And then you iterate on that to achieve your desired outcome. So if you feel stuck on what types of content you could share with your mailing list, again, there are tons of resources to inspire you. I pulled some of these snapshots from one of our blog posts on the topic. But you could start with offering discount codes, sharing a sneak peek of an upcoming project, promoting any upcoming events, or you could even just give some personal updates. If you're feeling particularly creative, you could incorporate some interactive content. So videos, surveys, or even a simple call to action for your audience to share something back with you. Again, we have pretty limited data on email marketing specific to self-published authors, but in B2B applications, 91% of buyers prefer to open interactive and visual content compared to just traditional emails. There's a lot of freedom here to just find what works best for you and your audience. All right, go with me on this. Imagine you have done it. You have started selling direct. You are leveraging your customer data. You are crushing it. It's great, but it might also feel a little intimidating. There are just a lot of moving parts within a successful business that can be hard to navigate. If you add in any financial risk that can come with traditional publishing, it's just a lot. So let's take some of those scary parts out of it. You can scale globally, sell globally, without upfront fees or costs in this really simple way. Something Victoria touched on earlier is the idea of managing shipping and warehousing as part of your author business. If we consider that at scale, if you've reached the level of success, the number of orders, it just wouldn't be sustainable to manage as one person whose actual job is writing, not running a logistics company. If you're leveraging Lulu Direct, it becomes a really hands-off and automated process. We can handle all of it for you. So like Victoria said earlier, you can focus on the important things. And then you're probably sick of hearing me say it, but it always, always, always comes back to the customer data. When you're getting the information on your customers, not only can you stay in touch with them, you can dig into your demographic and use that data to continue building out your audience. This means getting super specific with any marketing efforts you want to make, either via social or paid advertising. You know exactly who your target market is, and you can keep finding them and keep scaling up for continued success. Victoria said this early too. It's kind of a no-brainer. We've talked a lot about how selling direct can solve a lot of challenges that you might face in your author business. We thought it might be good to talk about how that works in reality. So Chelsea has another webinar coming up with an incredible author, Michael Chatfield, who is selling direct and using his platform to keep his audience engaged. So these are some screenshots I pulled. We'll walk through this. There's just a ton of great stuff that Michael is doing on his website, but I wanted to call out some of the basics that highlight what we talked about today. So starting with getting customer data, his mailing list is at the forefront of his website. So this was completely organic. I went to his website this morning to take some screenshots and this popped up. So it's such a smart way to build out your audience, make them feel special, get them signed up for your mailing list, and keep them interacting with you. Next, and there's so much great stuff here, but starting from his navigation, right? It's easy to find where you can purchase his content. That shop button is right there. It's easy to get to. And then talking about engagement, he has 8 different methods here, all easy to find and all easy to interact with. So he's meeting his audience exactly where they are and matching them up with the content that's important to them, whether they're looking for a VIP experience or the opportunity to interact with other fans, or just to follow along on a social media platform. It's all right there. And then finally, we talked about making it easy for your audience to buy from you. I'm not sure you could make it any easier. Here, he's offering paperback and hardcover options, which is such a smart way to drive incremental revenue with no financial lift on your end. And then, okay, fine, I guess you have to offer audio and ebooks too. But what's also nice here is that with e-commerce platforms we integrate with, Shopify, WooCommerce, and Wix, I'm hitting this page and it's something I've seen before. I'm familiar with this. I'm never not using Shopify. So I'm not nervous about buying here. It's something that your audience is comfortable with. It's just like 15 out of 10. This is an incredible author business website. So it's not just something we talk about. This is a process that we see working for authors day in and day out. And we want y'all to be able to use direct selling to grow your author business as well.
Okay, so we did it. We've gotten to the end of this, and we're definitely going to have time to chat about your specific questions. And Chelsea's been answering them in the chat, which is so helpful. But these are a few ones to keep in mind that kind of touch on things that Claire and I have talked about throughout this. So starting off, how do I calculate the estimated profit I'll make from a Lulu Direct product? And this is a really great question because the goal here, like we said, is to maximize your revenue. So you really want to understand what profits you can make with this. It's a simple equation. You're going to subtract your costs from the list price, and that gives you your total profit. So for example, let's say print costs are $5, shipping and handling are $6, and your fulfillment fee is $1.75. Your total cost for that book is going to be $12.75. And then if you set your list price at $22, your total profit is $9.25. And then kind of on that next level, what is the fulfillment fee? So I touched on this briefly in our first slide, but I didn't go into too much detail. And the fulfillment fee is added to every order, and you just want to make sure it's included in your total costs when you're thinking about pricing your books. It's going to be the same regardless of number of items in the order, but it varies based on currency. So for US dollars, it's $1.75 per order. And then lastly, can I still use global distribution if I'm using Lulu Direct? Yes. Okay, this is a really great question. Again, like we said, our goal is to help you maximize revenue streams. We don't want to box you in. So you can definitely still use global distribution, and we encourage it. You'll need to look through our information regarding global distribution guidelines just to make sure that what you're publishing and selling is eligible, because there are some rules around that. And your list price might also need to meet certain requirements. But all that information can be found online. So you don't have to worry about like taking a shot in the dark. You'll definitely be able to figure out if you can sell it or not. And then, yeah, I think we would love to hear from y'all and answer the questions you have. But those are kind of just some basic ones that we get a lot.
Whew, that was a lot of information. Thank
Sorry,
you, guys.
Victoria and I went to the Lorelai Gilmore School of Talking Fast.
We did.
We did our best.
I'm impressed. We're across the 40-minute mark, so we're there. We've gotten there. So we left a lot of time for Q&A, and that's great. And y'all have been rapid fire in the chat. I've been trying to, since my camera's on, look engaged and then chat and try to get answers and then respond to these questions. So probably missed a few. If your question has not been answered, drop it in the Q&A tab so we can pick it up. A few things that I saw come through that I just wanted to touch on. For Lulu Direct fees, Lulu Direct, our app is free. You only will pay for the manufacturing cost of your book, but then your customers will be paying you back for that and whatever you charge for your books. And then outside of that, it's whatever e-commerce platform you're using. So Shopify, WooCommerce, or Wix, there are fees for these platforms. So take a look into that. I think Christopher was saying that he was using Shopify, but it was getting a little bit expensive. There is also like a Shopify Lite. It used to be called Shopify Lite. I think it's just the buy button now. Victoria Claire, correct me if I'm wrong there. But I think last time I checked, it was like $9.99 a month. Maybe a little bit give or take now.
Yeah.
But that can be an option to you if you would like to check that out. All right. Let's see. What else are you guys at? Oh, okay. So Shonda's asking, hello, I'm using Launchcart. Is Lulu Direct available? So right now, Lulu Direct is only available for Wix, WordPress, using WooCommerce and Shopify. So for our e-commerce solutions are under Lulu Direct, that is all that we have available. However, we are constantly expanding that and looking into other popular platforms that we can integrate with. So sign up for our mailing list. We're constantly trying to grow this. And then my second point to that, or additional information, would be our print API can work with pretty much any platform that you have. You would just need to use a developer or be in touch with a developer or have access to the back end of your website to plug into that. I did want to note, I know that we mentioned our print API earlier in this session, but actually drop a comment in the chat if you'd be interested in learning more about our API. I know that we lean really heavily on Lulu Direct because it's a bit more user-friendly and easier to access. But if you are interested in customization, if you wanted to play around with making every single version of your book bespoke for the reader, you can do that with our print API. So some examples that I've given in the past are two of our biggest users for API are one is Honeycomb Collective. They make astrological natal transit planners. I think that's what they're called. Everyone already has one, but if you needed another one, you would go to their website, you put in your information, and then they give you a bespoke planner that tells you what the planets are doing and how that affects your life. And then Kilo Health is another one that uses us, and they do customized journeys for nutrition and weight loss and overall health. So again, you go to their website, fill out a quiz and put in some information before you purchase, and then your book is custom made for you. So if that sounds like something that would make sense for you and your audience, let me know, and then I'll be happy to kind of explore a little bit more of that. And I'll also drop a link to our API in the chat as well. And Claire and Victoria, feel free to hop in and add anything that I could be missing there.
The only thing I was going to say is we are limited to those platforms, but if you Google Shopify buy button plus a platform that we don't support, those buy buttons work on a lot of different places. So that is always kind of a little workaround. There's not a ton of third-party integrations that we love to rely on, but Shopify buy buttons should work in a lot of different places.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Okay, scrolling back through the questions. All right, so Mira, I see you're asking about Snap Pages. Again, as Claire was just saying, the only integrations we have available now, Wix, WooCommerce for WordPress, and Shopify. However, our print API might be worth exploring. You may want to hold on until we keep integrating, but Snap Pages is not on the list yet. But as I said, we're constantly exploring other options. Let's see. And so Nick is asking, can we put a direct link to Lulu from our website without using Shopify? Of course, absolutely. You can. That's the easiest way to sell direct is to let us do it for you. I mean, regardless of what method you use, we'll be doing it for you essentially. But if you link to our website, you can absolutely send people to Lulu to buy your books. If you sell through the lulu.com bookstore, the revenue split is 80-20, meaning you as the author get 80% of the revenue and Lulu gets 20%. So if you are interested in, having those odds a bit more in your favor, then selling through Lulu Direct will allow you to keep more of your revenue. But if you just want to try it out and see how that works and you're just kind of getting your website set up, you can absolutely just link to the Lulu bookstore. Let's see. Okay, Christopher, I see your question about securing rights to sell internationally. Lulu is an international company, so we already have printers all over the world. You as the author own your rights and you can do with them what you please. So go forth and sell globally, Christopher. All right. Does Lulu plan on listing audiobooks anytime in the near future? Never say never. We're looking into audiobooks. We know that people use audiobooks and like them and authors want to sell them. So that is something that we're looking on and looking into developing. It's not there yet, but follow us on social and sign up for our email list and keep an eye out for any updates there. Claire, I thought you kind of look like you were leaning forward to say something, and I don't want to cut you off.
No, you're good. It's just my face. Christopher had that question about bulk CSV. I want to double check that with our onboarding team because you might be able to do that with the order import tool. So, Christopher, I'll track down your email address and get you a firm answer on that.
Oh, for the white label?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome.
I don't know if it's available on order import because it's sort of direct, sort of not. So let me double check that.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Okay. Rocky is asking, I only have one book to sell, but don't have a website yet. Going to use Wix. How can I build it from one book? Very easily. You just create one product page and one product listing. We do have a lot of tutorials on our YouTube channel on how to connect your products. And you can see all this through your Lulu dashboard in your account. But you can easily, you can sell as many things as you want, but obviously starting with one is a good place to be. So it should be pretty easy for you to do that. I would just recommend going to either our knowledge base. We have a lot of articles about setting up your Wix site. You can also look at some of our tutorials on our YouTube channel. All right, answered that one. Oh, Bill, thank you for posting this one again. I did see this earlier and wanted to answer your question. All right, Bill is asking, in Lulu Direct, which is how I have done my sales, I don't have customer data on who previously bought. So I know in our presentation, we talked about kind of using some of these sales tactics to market smarter and target your audience and see, as Claire was saying, people who bought your books probably will buy other books of yours. So how can you do that? So in Lulu Direct, when you are using Lulu Direct, you obviously in your dashboard see who is buying your books, but whatever e-commerce platform you're using, whether it be Shopify or WooCommerce or Wix, they're going to have data and analytics built into their platforms as well. So you can build out your dashboards to get that information and see who previously bought, or you can kind of do it more manually and just look at who purchased, go through the email addresses and see what they purchased. And again, a little bit more manual, but you do have access to that. You just may have to do a little bit of looking for it. All right, let's see. Charles is saying, I have 6 books published with Lulu. Hey, thank you. Congratulations. What is my next step if I have my own website already and I want to use everything you have presented here? Well, first of all, kudos to Victoria and Claire. You already made a sale, so great job. If you would like to use Lulu Direct and you already have 6 books published, so I would probably recommend looking at WooCommerce for WordPress. And again, I don't know what your website is built on, but if you're going WordPress, WooCommerce, you can very easily connect those through your Lulu dashboard. Or again, Wix is a good option as well. If you are not using a platform that we integrate with yet, then again, the API, as I keep repeating this, I'm thinking probably a webinar on the API is a good idea. So thank you for letting me know that. But yeah, so that would be my recommendation there. Let's see. Shopify Lite doesn't offer the automatic calculations for shipping and handling and tax. Good to know, Christopher. Thank you for letting us know about that. Okay. All right. I think I think that I came through the question. So Bill is just asking, he was asking about how you can see who bought your other things. But I think, do you guys have any other insights or tips for how to mirror that, this person also bought, or how to kind of use some of those sales tactics with the data that you have available through Lulu Direct to kind of remarket and retarget those folks?
Yeah, I know. So we talk a lot about Shopify. That's just the one I kind of am super familiar with. They have a lot of built-in tools to analyze your website. And then mailing too. So they can handle your direct mailing lists. So that within Shopify, you have a lot of those capabilities, and that's probably the easiest way to do it. I'm sure Wix and WooCommerce have something similar, but that's just a really nice, clean way to do that.
Perfect. Thank you. And I will say, Bill, I know that you mentioned you are using Lulu Direct, but when you're saying your portal to Lulu, I do just want to make the distinction that you can sell your books directly through Lulu's bookstore. And that's, I wouldn't say entry level, but, that's kind of a good place to start if you're not familiar with Lulu. However, if you do that, it's just like selling through Amazon, meaning that because of privacy laws, we can't give you the information about who's buying your books. So in your Lulu dashboard, you can see that you've made sales, but you won't see the customer name and email address. That is what Lulu Direct and Direct Sales offers you, is the ability to see exactly who is buying your books. So Bill, if you're saying in your dashboard for Lulu, you're not able to see that information, if you are using Lulu Direct, then again, your Shopify or WooCommerce or Wix platform or dashboard should show you this information, and you should be able to see it there. So if you're not, then you may just be looking at just selling through the Lulu bookstore. So looking through Lulu Direct or one of those e-commerce platforms may be worth exploring for you. Okay. All right. So I'm just looking through this, Sue. I'm sorry if you felt attacked by our comment. I did not mean to attack anyone with our comments, so I'm sorry if I came off aggressive. I apologize for that, but drop another question or comment and I'll be happy to take it now. All right, we are coming down to the end of the hour. I will do a last call for questions. And Victoria and Claire, are there anything for anyone who has not explored Lulu Direct? What is the best place to start?
Honestly, if you go on lulu.com and go on sell on your site, it's in our nav section. You can fill out a form and that'll hit Victoria and I just to reach back out with you and set up time, answer questions you have, get you set up with an onboarding specialist who can kind of talk to you about the process if you need it. But we're happy to do that. So if you go just lulu.com, sell on your site and fill out a form, it's that easy.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. And I just dropped the link for that. Another link that I had dropped in earlier was for our book cost calculator. I know that several folks were asking about what the fees are or what the pricing is. This tool, if you haven't checked it out, is one of my favorite things about our website. It's so cool and functional. And if you go in, you can put in the specs for your book. So your trim size, your page count, if you want premium color or standard, black and white, all that good stuff. It'll give you the per unit cost for your book. You can also see what your shipping estimates will be and what revenue you can make through selling through the books, our bookstore, global distribution, and I believe direct sales are on there as well. So it's a really good place to start if you're just trying to wrap your head around all of this and what it might look like for you in terms of budget and revenue. You can also get great templates for your books. So again, by putting in exactly the book that you want to make in regards to trim size and page count, then we'll give you specs for your interior file and your cover file. So I always like to share that if anyone needs that information. All right, let's see. Oh, Christopher, this is a good question, but the answer is no, but I'll read it out loud. I have 1,000 customized bookmarks. Can I mail them to your packaging plant and have one bookmark per book purchased? We don't do that now. I wish that we had something like that. We get questions like this quite often, but we have a global print network. So we have printers all over the world. So if you have a global audience, then, or even we have a couple printers in the US. So even if your audience is just spread out across the country, then the book is going to go to the printer closest to the reader or the destination. So logistically, it would be very, very difficult for us to do that. So, Being able to send 1,000 bookmarks to one printer would just not guarantee that if you have readers, all over the place, then your books are going to route to the closest to the destination. So logistically, we don't do that right now, but thank you for that question. And it definitely gives us something to think about.
You're thinking about branding, Christopher, and we love that. Brand continuity.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. I know. So yeah,
Listening.
marketing might be another good lineup that we should have for webinars here. All right. I think that might do it for us. All right. Thank you, everybody. Any closing thoughts, Claire and Victoria, that we want to share or anything like that? Take the floor.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
If you have questions, just fill out the form online and we will get in touch with you.
Yep.
We just really appreciate the time, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining me. If you want to watch the replay, this is posted to our YouTube channel. You can find it at lulu.com. Follow us on all the socials at lulu.com. As I've mentioned, we are constantly investing in and exploring new resources and integrations and opportunities for Lulu Direct to help put our authors in control and help grow their audiences. So sign up for our email list if you haven't already, so you can be up to date with those things. Thanks so much for everybody tuning in. I appreciate it as always. We will see you at the next one. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, all.